adventurous person and someone who loves to travel and be curious and try new things is going out there and doing stuff that you never thought you were going to do and is completely out of your comfort zone. But half of the time, those things end up being very stupid. And one of the plus sides of them being very stupid, and probably the only plus side of them being very stupid, is that they make really good stories. So this is a story about how I met a guy in Vegas and went home to meet his mom to find out he's a drug dealer. This was EDC Festival Week in Vegas, and I've been twice. My closer friend was arriving from Israel as a flight attendant, so she couldn't really get there till the next day, but I was staying with a friend of a friend inside the hotel room. She wasn't the kind of girl who really liked to dance at parties. So when we went to the pre-pool party event, I didn't really know what to do.
Okay.
I'm talking to these two German guys and the conversation is going to really weird places. Suddenly, I look over and between these two German guys, a light falls down from the heavens and a person appears. And he has a balloon hat on, sunglasses, and is floating in a donut with a drink. Naturally, I was like, this is my savior. And I'm wondering, what is this person? And he looks at me and he goes,
oh yeah.
and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's weird. But I was also like, no, you come over here, because why would I come over there to you? You gotta put in the effort. And this is just my Israeli coming out. But he was like, what the f? And we were literally arguing. We haven't said a word and we're arguing with our hands. Like, no, you come here. And I was like, no. We're arguing. And then he's like, fine. And then I think I just spit to the camera. And then he just goes, fine. And he starts coming towards me, maneuvering his legs inside the donut. And he's like, hey, and he has this heavy Kiwi accent. And I was like, huh, interesting. So he comes over to me and he's talking and he's really,
Yeah.
I mean.
Good morning, Vietnam!
He was Indian and he was gorgeous and he was tall. I was like, wow. So he's talking to me, introducing himself, all these sorts of things, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, this guy's gorgeous. And I just kind of fell in love. I think it was the festival vibe thing. I was like, oh, we're so free, la la la. And yeah, I fell in love with him, and that was it. We're hanging out, and we hang out literally every day of this festival. After this day, my flight attendant friend came. I knew all his friends, he knew all my friends, and we were starting to get to know each other pretty well. And it almost felt like this fairy tale romance where it's our favorite music and we're just there together and we're falling in love. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I had noticed he does pills of some form. But then again, this is a festival and you kind of write it off because, a lot of people are doing pills and I wasn't thinking too much of it. And I just kind of felt like we were in love. Okay? This is where I was feeling. This was the vibe. This is what he was feeling. We were just feeling in love. So clearly we were vibing. And just leave what was supposed to stay in Vegas inside Vegas. But we continued on our separate ways, and every night I would think about him and I would miss him and I would wonder what he's doing. But we also said that we weren't going to keep in contact too much. And sometimes he would text me and tell me that he misses me, and it felt good. I missed him. But it just didn't seem possible for me to travel from one side of the world to the next just to pursue a love of a week. But the days kept on going, and every day we would tell each other that we missed each other. After us talking on and off, he suddenly says, why don't you come over here? I'll buy you the ticket and we can just, give this a shot. My logical side definitely came up and was thinking, what on earth are you doing? But the other side came in and was like, just live a good story. So I packed up my things and I go to him. So it was a long ass flight to get to New Zealand. Again, this isn't the country, but I'm not going to say what country it was. And it was a long ass flight to get there. And after about 26 hours in transit, I had made really good friends with the person that was sitting next to me on the plane. And I really enjoyed his company. And I was thinking, maybe I just have a thing for the accent. But after this flight, I go and I meet this guy, and I'm waiting about 30-40 minutes, and then he tells me, come on, hurry up. What are you talking about? What do you mean, hurry up? I was really wondering what was going on, and he arrives then at the airport, and he looks a lot like lighter skinned than I remembered. All his muscles were completely gone. He was very, very thin. He almost looked sick, and he was just very different looking. We continue to like rekindle our knowing of each other, and he drives me back to where he lives with his mother. So we go over to that house, and he's in the meanwhile like acting very different. It's very quiet. Like, I don't really know what's going on with this dude. And we get to his mother's house, and that's when it goes to shit.
Oh shit!
Did I close the door? And this is after like a 26-hour flight, and they're not offering me water, they're not offering me food, they're not offering me tea. Okay. But I was like, okay, cultural differences, maybe I don't fully understand this family. And in the meanwhile, I can't help but notice all the crosses all over the house. So there was Jesus, there was Maria, there was like everything. It was just like all over the house was Jesus and Maria and all those homies everywhere along the wall. And she's sitting me down, and she's kind of starting to grill me with questions. And at this point, I am hungry, I am tired, I've just been on a plane for a ton of hours, and all I want to do is a nice hot cup of tea. And this person is grilling me with questions. But I'm like, okay. So we sit down, and he's sitting next to me, and he's not like holding my arm or anything. I kind of feel like I'm getting like schooled. And the mom is just asking me all these questions, and then she goes, you know, why, if you're Christian, did you do the army in Israel? And suddenly it was like everything came apart. From that moment of that question, the whole relationship, or whatever that was, which I'm not sure to this day, completely came apart. And it was like the moment that I said I was Jewish and I was Israeli, it was like there's no reason to pursue this at all, and we lost like the family blessing. It was really bad, honestly, to watch how their house worked, but it was bizarre. And I ended up going to sleep for one night in this room filled with Jesuses and crosses and the Bible, and this guy who like I went half the way. I'm like getting choked up. I crossed the world to see. Like I literally crossed the world for this guy, and that was it. From the moment that I had made clear who I am, it was done. And it still doesn't make sense to me, but it happened. And I suddenly started to realize like very weird things about him. He would wake up to watch wrestling, full volume, like weird stuff. And he would do this thing where he would listen to the radio, and like before the song ended, he would just switch the channels, and it was the most annoying thing in the world. I did not know how to cope with this dude. Oh my god. He was so annoying on those 2-3 days that we actually got to spend together. He was the worst. But then the weirdest thing happens, and he booked us like a sweet getaway for the weekend or something like this. So we go to this sweet getaway. I'm like, oh, tell me your deepest, darkest secret. Like, I want to know. Oh, I used to be a drug dealer. And I go, like weed? And he goes, no, like pills, like some other stuff, but I don't really like to talk about it. And from the moment he said that, homie got paranoid AF, just like the weirdest thing ever. And I asked him, like, if you're in a super religious, like, Catholic household, how are you keeping drugs? And he said, what do you think I would tell you? And I was freaked out. So, needless to say, this relationship did not work out, and I completely, by chance, knew someone who let me stay on her couch. And to this day, I have no idea, like, who was the real him. About a year later, my rave friends go to a party called Holy Ship, and I wake up in the middle of the night and I get a text of all of my rave friends and this dude. And he literally just saw that they had an Israeli flag and was like, do you happen to know Aviva? And they were like, yep. So, guys, there's a couple of lessons in here. Possibly do some screening of a person before you cross the world for them. Number 2, don't do drugs. I don't know if that's what messed him up, but it's not clear to me who was the real him. And 3, always know that people that you meet in certain environments can be completely different in other environments. And also, some people just suck. I still can't believe that whole thing happened. Well, follow your dreams, kids. I don't know that I regret going because, I mean, I did get a free flight out of it, and this trained me not to necessarily think I know everything about a person just because I feel a certain way, because sometimes you need a bit more of an objective reality check rather than just what you're feeling or an energy that someone's giving off or something, because those things change. Well, hopefully you learned some things for this video, and maybe next time you meet a person in Vegas, don't go home with them. Until next time. Okay.